Hello, so excited to have you guys back. I'm trying to do something new with all of my content, and that is to give it to you in the description so that you don't have to wait for the whole video or the whole podcast to finish. That makes me crazy when there's a whole intro of everything that everybody wants to talk about. I'm trying to make it super simple for you guys. So in the description are the key points of what I'm talking about in this video or this podcast if you're listening in. So if that's easier for you to look at that description and then decide what parts of the video you want to skip to, totally understand. I want you guys to get what's best for you out of this. This is not for me. This is to give you all of the content you're looking for. So with that being said, today we are talking about how to sell your own veterinary practice. I'm only going to give you the key main steps. There are many steps, and I don't want to overwhelm you with this, especially if this is your first time listening with me. So first big step, and something I want to stress, is your marketing is going to be everything. So if you don't market your practice, then you are not going to pull in quality buyers. Identifying your buyer is how you are going to start your marketing. So first step, okay, right? Marketing is important, but your first step is identify your buyer. Is it going to be a corporate buyer or is it going to be a private buyer? If you are wanting a corporate buyer, usually they will only look at 2+ DVM practices. So if you are the only doctor, they most likely will not look at you. They most likely won't. So if that's the case, then you can either hire an additional associate, get your revenues up, or sell to a private buyer. So with a private buyer, that's usually either a veterinarian or a business individual who owns a few veterinary practices. It won't be uncommon for some of your buyers to be veterinarians who own multiple practices. Your practice could be their second or their third that they're looking to expand to. So very, very common. So identify your true buyer. Who is your buyer? Who do you want your buyer to be? Who do you want to sell your work to, right? That's what you're doing. You're selling everything you've built over the decades or however long you've built it. That's what you're selling. So identify your true buyer. Now build your marketing off of that. So your marketing is going to be built off of your true ideal buyer. Okay, now once you have that, you're going to go on a few different sites, especially for veterinarians. So depending on what state you live in, you most likely have just like a VMA, right? We're in Arizona, so we have AZ VMA. Whatever state you're in probably has a veterinary specific group. That is a wonderful place to market. Usually in the classified section, you can go and you can find that. Even on AVMA, you can market. Now, me personally, I haven't had the best luck with AVMA, depending on where the practice is. So if the practice is in a very rural part of town, usually AVMA is not where I target or build my marketing plan. So AZVMA is great. Facebook is huge. If you can get in with the veterinary groups on Facebook, your buyer could very much be in there. You're going to post about it and say, does anybody know someone who's wanting to purchase my practice? So one step that's crucial is your marketing. Okay, so second step and second tip is buyers are going to be in every single financial document you have. They have to be, right? They want to know what they're purchasing, just like you would if you were purchasing a business. So have everything ready if you can. Your most common documents that they're going to be looking at are your past 3-year profit and loss statements, your past 3-year balance sheets, and your past 3-year tax returns. Those are the most common. They're also going to be looking at your software reports to make sure everything's lining up. If your software reports are showing you make a lot more than what your P&Ls are showing, that could be a problem. There's a small room for, I would say probably about 5% If there's a 5% difference, it's not a red flag. If there's a higher difference, it could be a red flag depending on who the buyer is. So please try to have your records clean just to save your time and the buyer's time. You want to have everything gathered that you can. It's not uncommon for buyers to request to look at bank statements. So if that makes you uncomfortable, you probably shouldn't be selling. They want to look at everything and they want to make sure nothing's being hidden, or if something doesn't make sense, they want to get it cleared up. So don't be concerned if you see that. Another huge step, an important tip if you're going to be selling your own practice, is to get an attorney. To make sure you have an attorney that specializes in healthcare transitions for business sales. So they call it acquisitions. So you want an attorney that specializes in healthcare acquisitions. It's so important. You are going to need help with the purchase agreement, and we want to make sure that you are being represented fairly. Even if you had a broker, they should be recommending for you to get an attorney as well. Brokers aren't attorneys. Attorneys aren't brokers. Everybody respects each other's field. Attorneys are very important because they only represent your side. Take everything they say with a grain of salt, and just remember you are paying them to tell you everything that's wrong with the deal. So just remember that. That's what you're paying them for, okay? It doesn't have to be scary, right? It doesn't have to be scary. I know sometimes attorneys can really say things to stress you out and to make you feel like the deal isn't there or the buyer's not a fit. Go with your gut and understand, like I said, you are paying them to tell you everything that's wrong with the deal. That is what they're there for. They're there to just make sure you know every single thing that could go wrong. And sometimes that can be overwhelming, but just stay true to what you're looking for, which if it is to sell your practice and this is the perfect buyer for you, stay true to yourself and just have that respect with your attorney and have that conversation. Like, I really need this to happen. I respect everything you say, but I need to know what could go right as well. So not always what could go wrong, just having that conversation with your attorney and having you both understand, I think will help you significantly. Another thing I recommend is using escrow. So that's my last tip to get this video so it's not too long. Use escrow. They are going to be running title and lien searches. It just protects you even as the seller. If a lien pops up, you want to know about it and you want to get it handled. It's so common. Most of my sellers have no idea that they have liens on their practices. It's a shock to them. And sometimes it's something silly that was worked out and paid off and there was just a lien on the practice. You don't know, right? So there could be a lien on the practice that you just are unsure about. So have title and lien searches ran. It just saves you significantly later down the line. I've had a time where the lien search wasn't ran until right before closing and we could not close. There was a lien that was paid off. It was from a bank. It was fully paid off. It was for equipment and the bank couldn't get it off. It would take, a few weeks to get the lien cleared off and the buyer fell out. So just have it ran, right? It's a small fee for a huge savior in the transition. So with all of that being said, I hope you found something in this video that you needed. I hope it gave you the value you were looking for. And again, if you're listening to the podcast, please check out the video if you want to see it. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a phenomenal day. It's a beautiful day today. And we'll talk soon.